What is up, everybody else? I had someone ask me, well, didn't ask me. I kind of imposed my perspective on them. And I was like, "You're not breathing into your belly." And they were like, "I don't know what that means." And so um, I want to just kind of go over how to do that. Because what happens whenever we start to belly breathe is we tap into the sympathetic nervous system, that part of the nervous system that we can regulate and control. And when we do that, we can kind of hijack our parasympathetic response, which is often kind of gets worked up a little bit easier than other things. I might have those confused. But like that side of us that can get worked up and that can get upregulated. Whenever we can focus our attention in the belly and help ourselves to deregulate, then we're often more equipped to handle situations that come our way. And when we train ourselves to breathe in certain ways, that becomes our go-to in our day-to-day life, right? And so no matter what comes your way, you'll still be able to kind of tap into that breathing mechanism. So the more you practice it, the more you'll do it subconsciously. So with that in mind, just finding a comfortable seat wherever you are, if you want to join along. And you can do this in a whole bunch of ways. I'm just going to do this with my hands. Just placing them on that space, that soft tissue between the rib cage and the belly. And so from there, you're just going to breathe into those hands. And then exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And just do that a couple more times. You can even do it slowly. Do it with a rate of breath that makes sense for you. Right? And you might notice yourself getting stuck with the breath at certain points, and that's okay, that happens, right? So it's like where you feel like you're not pulling in enough air. All of that is quite natural. So just let yourself take in as much air as you need. And you may notice yourself already kind of calming down. And so this is the first part of 3-part breathing. And so since we're here, I'm just going to keep coming into the next part. So bring the hands up a little bit higher, right? And just letting yourself breathe first into the belly, into that first space, that first cavity, and then filling up the hands. And then exhale from the hands, and then from the belly. Inhale into the belly, the hands. Exhale from the hands, and then the belly. Inhale into the belly, the hands. Exhale from the hands, and then the belly. Excellent. Just notice how you feel. Maybe trying that a couple more times on your own. Just feeling and experiencing this. This is also something that you can do laying down. Kind of laying down on the floor gives you that proprioception on the backspace, which can sometimes be quite nice. And our last step is chest, right? So hands can come up to the chest. Some people don't even need their hands here, but just in terms of proprioception, some people really like it. So hands can be on the chest, they can be on the sternum, wherever you are most comfortable. It's just kind of hard to get them up in the armpits. I suppose you could if you really wanted to. But so we're going to go breathing into the belly, breathing into the rib cage, and then breathing up into the chest. So as you inhale, fill up the belly first, and then the rib cage, and then the chest. Exhale from the chest, the rib cage, and the belly. Inhale into the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Exhale from the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Inhale into the belly, the ribs, and the chest. Exhale from the chest, the ribs, and the belly. And then try it on your own for a couple breaths. You can keep the hands up or you can drop them. And something that happens quite a few times as people try this and play with it and experiment So like, well, I can't focus on just filling up one. They're kind of interrelated, and they are, right? So if you're not quite, so if you notice spillover happening between each section, that's perfectly all right and perfectly natural. And there's going to be times where you fill up the opposite cavity first and then kind of go back and fix it. It's just the breath, right? You're not going to ruin anything, right? Just kind of go back and refocus belly, ribs, chest. Exhale the chest, the ribs, and the belly. Right? And so that's just a quick exercise, right? And you don't have to practice it for that long, but you can just kind of do 3 or 4 breaths that way, and that can automatically kind of decompress the central nervous system, which can be quite lovely. And the reason why we do that, the reason why we breathe into the belly first, is to facilitate movement of the diaphragm. Right? The diaphragm is this kind of glove that sits underneath our lungs and supports all of our upper organs. Right? And so as we breathe in, that diaphragm drops down to suck air into the lungs. It creates a vacuum, drawing air in. And then as you exhale, it kind of pushes back up. And so if we're breathing into the chest, that means that the diaphragm is restricted and not able to move down deeply enough. So you can even kind of try it, like tense up your abdomen a little bit and then try to breathe into the chest, right? And it constricts, right? But when you can let the abdomen go, there's room for that diaphragm to flow and move a little bit freer. So that movement of the diaphragm can really help us to connect to a deeper and more nourishing breath. So thank you all for joining along with me. Om Namo Shivaya.